You don't notice it, but you're getting weaker. Not because the weight is heavy, but because your heart has become too light. Modern men talk about freedom, yet live enslaved to whatever distracts them. They trade discipline for comfort, purpose for pleasure, and call it progress. But the Templar knew, the man who runs from pain loses his honor. Strength doesn't vanish all at once. It decays slowly through loose habits, broken promises, and cowardice disguised as wisdom. One day you wake up and realize your sword is still there, but your hands no longer have the strength to wield it. You think you're strong because you hit the gym, because you survive the grind, because you keep your posture. But the strength that truly sustains a man isn't in his muscles, it's in his spirit. Many train their bodies but have let their souls wither. They are knights with polished armor but rusted swords. They fight outer wars while running from the inner ones. The Templar knew that the hardest battles are fought in silence, when no one is watching, when the flesh screams and the mind bargains. Few today still understand the weight of a promise, the value of a vow, the holiness of self-control. The true downfall of modern man isn't visible. It reveals itself when he no longer has the will to fight himself. Strength is rarely lost on the battlefield. It's lost at home, when a man chooses 5 more minutes of sleep, when he gives his word and doesn't keep it, when he lets his soul go soft without realizing. The erosion of discipline begins quietly, like rust on steel. A Templar knew that every small indulgence, every surrender to weakness, opened a crack in his armor. Today they call that being human. But the Templar didn't make excuses. He practiced silence and action. The most dangerous enemy isn't the one outside, it's the one who whispers within. You deserve a break. Do it tomorrow. No one will notice. Comfort is poison served in a golden cup. It kills slowly while intoxicating the mind with the illusion of safety. And when danger comes, the modern man discovers that his courage has rusted. His body still obeys, but his spirit has already surrendered. Discipline is the steel of the soul. Without it, a man loses respect for himself. The Templar rose before the sun, not out of routine, but out of honor. He prayed before battle, not out of religion, but out of awareness of his own weakness. He understood that strength is born not from pride, but from surrender to purpose. Each morning he remembered that the enemy would rise too, and if he relaxed, he'd be defeated before ever drawing his sword. Do you want your strength back? Start in the silence where no one applauds. Start by defeating comfort, because a man's fall doesn't happen when he hits the ground. It happens when he learns to live there. Nothing destroys a warrior faster than comfort disguised as peace. Modern man was taught to chase balance, but what he's really seeking is escape. He calls it rest, but it's resignation. The Templar knew that an idle mind is enemy territory. Today, most live in constant distraction. The phone, the screen, the opinions of others. The soul was sold for crumbs of dopamine. The warrior of old trained to endure silence. The man of today is terrified of it. The poison of contentment is subtle. It whispers, "You're doing enough. You're fine as you are. You don't need to push further." But the Templar knew, as long as there's breath, there's a battlefield. He didn't settle for past victories or mourn old defeats. His mind was anchored in purpose, not in comfort. Immediate pleasure is the enemy of eternity, and the man who lives for pleasure forgets the worth of honor. Distraction isn't just a lack of focus, it's the worship of the trivial. Every time you give your attention to something meaningless, you sacrifice a piece of your strength. The Templar fasted, not only from food, but from excess. He cut out the noise to hear the voice that truly mattered. His soul was like a blade, clean, polished, and ready. But the modern man prides himself on being busy. He mistakes movement for progress. He runs all day without taking a single step toward his purpose. The Templar walked slowly, but every step was a sentence of victory. Today's world teaches you to seek pleasure. The Templar would teach you to seek purpose. And between those two paths lies an abyss. On one side, comfort that puts you to sleep. On the other, a calling that awakens you. A warrior who has lost his strength doesn't need pity. He needs rebuilding. There are no shortcuts to regain what has been corroded by time and neglect. A fallen Templar didn't ask for rest. He asked for discipline. Rebuilding the inner fortress begins with honesty. You're not well. The mind is scattered. The body barely obeys. And the spirit, once steady, now trembles. The first brick of restoration is truth. No man regains strength while clinging to comforting illusions. The second step is silence. A warrior must quiet himself to hear the sound of his own soul being forged again. Society teaches you to speak, to expose, to express. The Templar, however, trained silence, for he knew that focus is born from it. When a man learns to be silent, he begins to see clearly again. Silence is the anvil on which character is forged. Then comes sacrifice. Nothing is rebuilt without pain. The body grows stronger when it's torn and heals. The spirit is no different. It's through discomfort that the inner fortress rises again. Fasting, prayer, discipline, purpose, these aren't religious rituals, they're training for the soul. Every act of self-denial is a hammer strike against the steel of the will. And finally, purpose. Without it, every effort is vanity. The Templar didn't fight for himself. He fought for something greater. A man who lives only for himself is weak, even if he looks invincible. But when he gives his life to something higher, faith, mission, family, honor, he becomes unbreakable. Because the steel that shapes him no longer depends on the world. To rebuild yourself is to become a temple again, not of ego, but of purpose. And the one who rebuilds his inner temple becomes once more a warrior. Recovering strength doesn't require miracles, it requires decision. A Templar didn't wait to feel ready. He acted because duty came before desire. Want your strength back? Wake before the sun. Pray before touching your phone. Keep silent before giving opinions. Keep your word, even when no one is watching. Choose the discomfort that molds you over the pleasure that weakens you. Reduce the noise, less distraction, more purpose. Keep the body in order, for a weak body weakens the spirit. Train your mind to endure, not just to understand. Cut away excess of words, complaints, and laziness. Each small victory over yourself is another stone restored in the wall of your soul. Don't wait to be ready. Strength is born in the walk, not in the waiting. The Templar who hesitates before battle has already lost, but the one who acts even in fear has already begun to win. The first step to reclaim your strength is to remember who you were called to be. The strength you lost is still somewhere inside you, asleep beneath layers of fear, distraction, and fatigue. But it never died. It only grew quiet, waiting for you to call it back. A Templar didn't wait for a sign. He took the first step. And that's how strength returns, through a firm decision, a single enough spoken against what weakens you. You don't need to be perfect, only present. A warrior who still stands, even wounded, is worth more than 1,000 kneeling before comfort. The sword of willpower lies where you left it, perhaps covered in dust, but ready to be wielded. Clean it, rise, fight again, because weakness is a choice disguised as relief, and strength. Strength has always been the echo of your loyalty to purpose. May the warrior within you awaken, and may the sound of steel reignite the silence of your soul.